The 1980s were the absolute golden age of action movies. It was the decade of explosions, muscle-bound heroes, insane stunts, and villains so over the top they became legendary.
You have to take me in. If you can.
Everyone remembers classics like Die Hard, Predator, and The Terminator. But beyond those mega hits, the 80s also gave us a ton of action movies that have slowly faded from the spotlight. And honestly, some of them still rule. Hey, my name's Johnny, and today we're taking a deep dive into 10 awesome 80s action movies that still kick ass, and let's get into it.
Stallone is a cop called Cobra.
Cobra from 1986. Let's start with one of the coolest and weirdest cop movies of the decade. Starring Sylvester Stallone as Marion Cobra Cobretti, a cop who specializes in dealing with the worst criminals imaginable. So let me just explain it from Sylvester Stallone's terms.
Hey, I'm a cop, and I arrest people, I do that, and I just, that's what I do.
You have the right to remain silent.
And Cobra doesn't exactly believe in playing by the rules. This movie is pure 80s attitude. Stallone barely speaks, constantly chews on a matchstick, and handles criminals with brutal efficiency.
Yeah, that's what I do.
This might be a record for the least amount of dialogue Stallone has in a movie, but he just has so much charisma that it still just works. The villains are part of a creepy cult known as the New World, and they're about as unhinged as bad guys get. And Brian Thompson as the lead villain terrified me as a kid. Him constantly upset, sweating, staring, spitting a lot through his lines.
Isn't it big?
The film is packed with stylized violence, neon lighting, and one of the most ridiculous yet awesome car chase scenes of the decade. This film is a time capsule of the late 80s action aesthetics. Neon-drenched night streets, aggressive synth score, and over-the-top villains.
We're looking at a fucking hunter! I'm a hero of the new world!
And of course, it gave us one of the most iconic one-liners in action movie history.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure.
I guess a career in the police didn't really prepare you for this, did it?
The Hidden.
The Hidden from 1987. A seriously underrated sci-fi action gem. The premise is just wild. An alien parasite jumps from body to body, possessing people and turning them into thrill-seeking criminals.
I want to know why it takes 15 shots to take down some sold-out stripper.
Obsessed with fast cars, heavy metal, and chaos. Trying to stop this is an LAPD detective and a mysterious FBI agent. What makes this movie so fun is that it feels like a classic buddy cop action movie, except one of the characters might not be human. It has a fun blend of sci-fi and action in a way most 80s horror movies didn't. The movie was actually produced by Robert Shea, founder of New Line Cinema, the same studio behind A Nightmare on Elm Street. It also became a cult favorite because the mysterious FBI agent is played by Kyle MacLachlan, right before he became famous for working with David Lynch in projects like Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks.
He's a law-abiding taxpayer minding his own business. Killed 12 people, wounded 23 more, stole 6 cars.
The film moves fast, the action is explosive, and the body-jumping villain creates a constant sense that anyone could suddenly become the bad guy. If you've never seen it, The Hidden is one of the coolest sci-fi action hybrids of the 80s.
You and me.
Michael Douglas, Black Rain.
Black Rain from 1989. Directed by the legendary Ridley Scott, the film stars Michael Douglas as a tough New York cop who captures a dangerous Yakuza member. But when he escorts the criminal back to Japan, things just go horribly wrong, and the prisoner escapes.
You are civilian here. It is illegal for you to carry a gun.
Suddenly, the American cops are stuck in Osaka, navigating the brutal world of the Yakuza while trying to track down their target. Michael Douglas brings a perfect mix of swagger and grit as Detective Nick Conklin. He plays the role like a classic tough guy cop, but adds layers of arrogance, guilt, and culture shock once the story moves to Japan.
I am the solution to your problems.
Douglas's intensity and screen presence carry the film, making Conklin feel flawed, dangerous, and totally compelling. This movie just stands out because of its atmosphere. Ridley Scott fills the screen with neon lights, rain-soaked streets, and gritty urban visuals that make Osaka feel almost cyberpunk. It's a slower, more serious action film compared to some others on this list, but the tension and visuals make it unforgettable.
Never stop this train, you hear me, Regan? Never! I'll kill you, man! You die, sucker! Don't make me kill you!
Runaway Train.
Runaway Train from 1985. Now here's one that's intense in a completely different way. Two escaped prisoners in Alaska who jump aboard a train to escape. But there's one problem.
There's nobody on this train but us!
The brake shoes have burned off, the overspeed control must have gotten screwed up. Engineers do not just quote.
The train loses its brakes and the conductor dies. Now the train is racing uncontrollably through the frozen wilderness with no way to stop it.
Ain't getting caught alive.
What follows is a tense survival thriller mixed with action and psychological drama. Jon Voight gives an incredible performance as a hardened criminal who may finally be facing his fate. And Eric Roberts as Buck plays incredibly well with his nervous energy and vulnerability, making him feel human and conflicted rather than just another criminal. His chemistry with Jon Voight adds real tension and heart, helping turn the film into a powerful survival story.
Thanks, youngster. I owe you one.
Hey, Manny, take me with you.
The film also earned Oscar nominations for both Jon Voight and Eric Roberts. The freezing Alaska setting and practical train stunts adds a gritty realism that still holds up today. It's gritty, emotional, and completely different from most 80s action movies.
No retreat, no surrender.
No Retreat, No Surrender from 1986. Martial arts fans definitely remember No Retreat, No Surrender. The movie follows a young martial artist who idolizes Bruce Lee and trains to become a great fighter. But the real reason this movie became legendary is because it features one of the earliest film appearances by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Europe's most feared martial artist, Ivan Krasinski!
Van Damme plays the villain, a brutal Russian fighter who completely dominates the screen whenever he appears.
You're good. I get better.
This one's just a lot of fun. So cheesy, but good cheesy. The film has the main character being trained by the spirit of Bruce Lee, which was a pretty bold idea only 13 years after Lee's death. Instead of just copying Lee's moves, the movie turns him into a kind of a mystical mentor figure.
Set the images all in your head. The result is power.
Blending traditional kung fu mythology with the underdog sports movie formula that was huge in the 80s. The movie is cheesy, inspirational, and just packed with classic 80s training montages and martial arts fights. It's the kind of underdog movie that martial arts fans just love.
It's the Avenging Force. Avenging Force.
Avenging Force from 1986. If you like your action movies extremely violent and over the top, you're going to want to check out Avenging Force.
A hunting club, except they don't hunt animals, they hunt men.
Bring them down.
The story follows a former CIA operative who becomes the target of a secret society that hunts humans for sport. Yes, literally hunts them. One of the cool things about Avenging Force is how it solidified Michael Dudikoff as one of the signature action stars of the Cannon Films era. Unlike a lot of 80s action heroes who were huge bodybuilders, Dudikoff had a leaner, more athletic style that made the fights feel faster and more grounded. After the success of American Ninja, Cannon quickly built movies like Avenging Force around him, turning him into their go-to martial arts action lead for a few years.
They are the hunters.
The villains are a group of wealthy elites who treat murder like a twisted game. The movie quickly turns into a brutal survival battle through forests, swamps, and ambushes. It's basically a mix between the most dangerous game and an 80s action thriller.
The toughest cop in the world just got tougher. Chuck Norris. Code of Silence.
Code of Silence from 1985. One of the best movies starring Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris plays a Chicago cop who's caught in the middle of a violent gang war between drug cartels. There's only one man who can fix that, and that's good old Chuck Norris.
Squad, this is 1462. I need backup.
Hey, you don't want to be in here.
I want your opinion. I'll beat it out of you.
This has everything you would expect in a Chuck Norris film. He's beating up people in bars. He's jumping trains. He's jumping off bridges. He's just being a badass the entire time. That being said, the film is much more grounded than the typical Chuck Norris film. Instead of playing an unstoppable one-man army, his character is more restrained and grounded. The film was also directed by action legend Andrew Davis, who later went on to make classics like The Fugitive, giving the movie a much grittier and more realistic feel than most 80s action films.
Angel! Give it up!
It focuses heavily on police politics and the moral struggle of doing the right thing when everyone around you is compromised. It also features one of the coolest robotic police units ever put in an 80s action movie.
Action Jackson, and action is on the way.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Action Jackson from 1988. Now we get to one of the most fun action movies on the list. The film stars Carl Weathers, who people know as Apollo Creed from Rocky, and Dylan from The Predator. Here he plays Jericho Action Jackson, a Detroit police officer taking on a corrupt auto industry tycoon.
This Jackson is so vicious, we don't even let him have a gun.
He's a maverick who answers to no one.
Directed by Craig R. Baxley, who had previously worked as a stunt coordinator on movies like Predator. That stunt background really shows in the film's explosive action scenes and practical stunts. This movie is packed with insane stunts, ridiculous fight scenes, and classic 80s action energy.
He's a man who's no dog.
I bet I can make you change your mind.
And all action.
How do you like your ribs?
It's also one of the few action movies where Carl Weathers gets to become the full-on action hero lead. And he absolutely nails it.
We're here to take you home.
The Delta Force.
The Delta Force from 1986. A huge action spectacle starring Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin. The movie follows an elite military team sent on a mission to rescue hostages from a hijacked airplane. If that's not 80s, I don't know what is.
1 minute to showtime.
Once the hostages are taken to the Middle East, the Delta Force launches a daring rescue mission.
They're fighting to save American lives.
You take one of us, you gotta take us all.
The film is big, explosive, and full of classic military action scenes. One of the most interesting things about the Delta Force is that it brought together two massive action icons of the era, Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin. Marvin was already a legendary tough guy actor from films like The Dirty Dozen.
Bastard, either you march, or I'll beat your brains out. Understand?
So pairing him with Norris kind of created a passing the torch moment between two generations of action stars. The film is also famous for its larger-than-life motorcycle weapon system that Norris rides into battle, which became one of the most memorable images from the 80s action cinema. Chuck Norris at one point rides a rocket-powdered motorcycle, because of course he does. Why wouldn't he?
A movie big enough to hold him. Remo Williams. The adventure begins.
Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, from 1985. One of the most unique action films of the decade. The story follows a New York cop who is secretly recruited into a covert government organization. His job, become an elite assassin trained to eliminate threats to national security. He's trained by a mysterious Korean master, giving him near superhuman abilities.
He'll learn to move faster than a bullet.
Excellent.
Not bad.
What was instantly exciting for me was seeing Fred Ward in the lead role. Growing up watching him in Tremors, he always had that perfect mix of toughness and dry humor that made his characters really fun to watch. So when I discovered Remo Williams, it felt like getting to see the same kind of rugged, likable energy from Ward, just in a completely different kind of action adventure.
And you're telling me he's gonna get away with it, huh? And we can't stop him?
You can stop him, son. It'll be my pleasure.
The movie blends martial arts, espionage, and humor into something that feels almost like a comic book movie before comic book movies were everywhere. And while the film was meant to launch a franchise, it unfortunately never got a sequel. The 1980s gave us some of the greatest action movies ever, but beyond the big blockbusters, there are dozens of forgotten gems that still deserve attention today. Movies like Cobra, The Hidden, and Runaway Train prove just how creative and wild the action genre could be during that decade. And if you're an action movie fan, these films are absolutely worth revisiting, because sometimes the forgotten movies are the ones that still hit the hardest. My name's Johnny, and thanks for taking a deep dive into 10 forgotten 80s action movies that still kick ass, and I'll catch you on the next one.